Hey, in this episode, we know you want more money, want more resource sources. How do you do that the right way? I say pray right, build right, and that's what we're going to talk about. When you pray right, you can build right. Hey, come hang out with us. Hey, we're going to start a new series here at the Mind Your Business podcast, and I want to welcome you. We are starting the Agur series, and I know no one really knows who Agur is, but if you come and hang out with us for the next few weeks at the Mind Your Business podcast, we want to welcome you. You're going to know exactly who Agur is when we get done. We're going to start with him actually today. And so as we talk about who Agur is, I want to mention something to you about the Mind Your Business podcast. We're here for those of you who's looking for that second chance. We're looking for those who are looking for that second chance. I call them the second chance community. And with that, because of that, we build on three pillars. It's business development, personal mastery, and spiritual maturity. All three at the same time because that's how God designed it. And so that's what we do. So today's podcast, Pray Right, Build Right, this is going to fit right in our business development pillar. And then next week when we do the second part of the episode, it will be part of our personal mastery. And then the third one is going to be part of our spiritual maturity. So, hey, hang out with us as I welcome you and to the Mind Your Business podcast. Now, who is Agur? Who is Agur? Agur is not David, of course, not Moses. He doesn't necessarily have a famous name. Agur was the son of Jacob, an outsider. Nobody really know who he was. And because he was the son of Jacob, we understand that he didn't have any kind of formal religious training. All he had was the world around him. He saw creation. He saw the wind. He saw the water. He saw the sky. He saw the earth. And that's all Agur had. When he looked up, when he looked around it, he knew someone was behind this. Somebody had to have made this. And so it reminds me of Romans 1:20 when it says, God's invisible qualities have been clearly seen, being understood from what he has made. And Agur, who was one that, was going through some things in life, and he realized here, I'm going to bring it to today's term, you don't need a church to find God. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a church home. There's nothing wrong with being a member of the church. As a matter of fact, you need that. God wants us to have that. But you don't need that to find God. God is right there with us. And listen, creation, we call it general revelation. He generally reveals himself through creation, and creation speaks loud. Who did this? How did that happen? And Agur was honest enough. He was honest enough to listen to what creation has did. Hey, listen, I want to read Proverbs 30. This is where we began to talk about Agur in Proverbs 30. I want to read Proverbs 30, verse 2 and 3 to you. It says, surely I am stupid to be a man. I have not the understanding of a man. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I attained knowledge of the Holy One. Look at what Agur is saying. Look at what Agur is saying. Based on what he is saying, Agur has basically disqualified himself in life for the most part, because intellectually he says, I don't have the understanding of a man. I am not educated. And then practically he says, I haven't learned wisdom. I don't even have common sense. And then spiritually, he says, I have not obtained the knowledge of the Holy One. I don't have a relationship with God. That's what Agur is saying. Life has brought him to a point, because earlier in the text, he talks about how he's weary, how he's worn out, and we'll get to that. How he's weary, he's worn out, and all of that has consumed him. He feels this, he has come to grips with himself, and he feels like, hey, I don't have it all together. What is going on now? He's beginning to understand that something in his life has got to be different. If it's a person out there in this podcast and you're listening to me, hey, I want to feel you. Maybe you have something like a felony record or just a criminal record, period, and it's keeping you from going to the next level. Or maybe it's that person who had to file bankruptcy, or it's that person that got a divorce, or the person who had a business and that thing failed, or maybe it's the person that's even got addicted to drugs. Maybe it's somebody that's got fired from their job, or maybe it's just a person that says, I've been here too long and I need to do something different. I've been working on somebody else's dream. I've been building somebody else's legacy, and now it's time for me to do something of my own. Maybe it's that person. That's the way Agur was feeling. Agur was having a really hard time. But look, in the pain that he had, it didn't drive him away. It made him look up. The pain drove him to look up, not away. When you look at Proverbs 30, verse 4, look at what he says. He says, who ascended into heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fists? Who has wrapped the waters in his garment? What is his name? And what is the name of his son? Look, he's asking, what is the name of his son? I don't want to give all that away right now because it's going to come hard in our episodes later. But the man who called himself disqualified, he is actually saying, who did this? Who made all of this stuff? What's his name and what's the name of his son? And we'll get to the point where we will understand that the son that he's talking about is actually Jesus Christ. And so this is when Agur begins to have an encounter with God. Agur didn't have a New Testament, but Agur asked a prophetic question that the New Testament actually answers. Who is he and who is the name of his son? Listen, it's almost like Agur went from this disqualified person to almost a visionary. It seems like he went from, I'm not qualified, and now he's got vision. Who did this? And what is the name of his son? What changed? What changed in Agur's life? I have to tell you, when he looked up, the pain drove him to God. He asked honest questions. And so we see for sure that he definitely had, now we definitely see the fact that he has had an encounter with God. He has ran smack dab into a relationship with God. We look at Proverbs 30, verse 7 at the beginning. Man, he goes from this person that says, I'm disqualified, or I'm all consumed, or life has driven me the wrong way. I'm hurting. I am in pain. But look at what he prays. That's why I say, listen, if you pray right, you can build right. Listen to what he says. He says two things. I ask, deny them not to me before I die. He's asking almost if there's like a prayer behind the prayer. He's saying, Lord, here's two things I'm going to ask you. Please don't deny these things before I leave this earth. He's saying, before I die, please don't deny me. Listen, he's not creating drama. He's not having a temper tantrum. He's not having a fit right now. What he is doing is Agur realizes the urgency to do it now, the urgency to build now, the urgency to make the change now, the urgency to live out what God has done for you in your life and what God has placed you on this earth for, your purpose, your assignment, to live it out now. There's an urgency behind it, and not an urgency that says, I gotta hurry up, I'm frantic, I'm gonna get in trouble. Not that kind of urgency, the kind of urgency that says, I will not wait any longer. I'm gonna use what I have, and I'm gonna build what I can build, and I'm gonna trust God as I do it. That's the urgency. Because the window for building is not unlimited. The building for making the change, the window for making the change is not unlimited. It's limited. You don't have forever. So how many people have you seen that has used their best years building the wrong thing or building something for someone else? I'm sure you know of someone. He says, before I die, I'm asking you this now while I still have a chance to build correctly. Hey, listen, if you're breathing, you can see, you're watching the podcast, you can hear, you hear what I'm saying, got a reasonable amount of health, you woke up this morning clearly because you're here, you still have a chance. You still have a chance, okay? So again, that prayer, behind the prayer, he says, before I die, he's now saying, there's some urgency behind this. I got to do it right. Hey, listen, I have to admit that there has been a time in my life when I spent 20 plus years in what I thought or what I wanted to perceive as the right thing to do. Because I was sitting on staff as a pastor, and I was working and doing God's work every day. I felt like that I was okay. I got comfortable, and God began to start telling me it's time to move on. And listen, when I moved on, it was hard. It was hard because I had to leave what I was familiar with. I had to leave the people that I was familiar with, and I had to begin to do some things that was totally unfamiliar. But I stand before you today, or I sit before you today and let you know that was one of the best decisions, if not the best decision, other than accepting Jesus Christ that I had ever made. Leaving and walking away and beginning to finally work on the very vision, the dream, the legacy that God has placed in my sphere of influence was the best thing that I had ever done. It was scary, and sometimes it still is, but man, I am so glad I did it. So listen, if you pray right, you can build right, because listen, the prayer behind the building is what actually begins to get you to move. Pray right, build right. As you see, there has to be some urgency. Don't let another day go by when you're saying, I'm gonna wait. The time is now. Hey, listen, look at his first request in this prayer. Look at his first request. In Proverbs 8, the first part of verse 8, Proverbs 30, the first part of verse 8, he says, remove from me falsehood and lying. Look at what he asked for. Remove from me falsehood and lying. I mean, who prays that? Agur did. But look what he's not asking for. He's not asking for money. He's not asking for more opportunity. He's not asking God, Lord, please open all the doors that needs to be open. He's not even asking for Lord to close doors or more resources. But what he is asking for, when he says, remove falsehood and lying from me, he is asking for integrity. Because money without integrity, the money can get lost. Influence without integrity can become a weapon. You can use your influence to weaponize and to hurt people, or either hurt situations. A platform without integrity gets destroyed. And if anyone that has lost something that they've worked hard to build, if you're completely honest, 90% of the time, you can trace that back to some type of way where the integrity was compromised. 90% of the time, most of the time, when you lose influence, you lose a platform, you lose your money, that's because the integrity went out the door. A shortcut that seemed like it was harmless began to help make you lose the business or the platform. The half-truth that felt like it was necessary is what got you in trouble in the first place, because you didn't tell the whole truth and it caught up with you. Agur said, Lord, before you give me anything else, look at what he's asking for. He's asking for integrity, but the deeper issue behind that is he's asking God to protect him from himself. Lord, please protect me from me. Help me with me, because me is the hardest person I got to deal with. You know, I always say, if every place you go, you have the same problem all the time, that's because everywhere you go, you take that problem with you. Think about that. If everywhere you go, you had the same problem every time, that's because everywhere you go, you take the same problem with you. And so Agur is asking, please protect me from myself. He says, I don't want to build this new thing the old way. I want to do it differently. When I scale this time, when this thing gets bigger, when I make an impact for the world, when I begin to make change, when I begin to solve that critical problem, when I begin to solve the problem for the masses, and we create this product or we create this service that's going to help people, and I don't want to build the new thing the old way. I want to be able to build in such a way that I make an impact. I want to build in such a way that, yes, I make money. I want to build in such a way that it helps people not only right here, but hopefully all around the world. I want to be able to do something big for you, God, but give me integrity before I do it. Agur wanted to lead with integrity. Hey, listen, a key principle that I like to say is integrity is not a character trait. It's the foundation that determines whether what you build will stand or collapse. It's not necessarily a character trait. It's a foundation. And it's going to determine whether what you build is going to stand or it's going to collapse. So the first thing that he asks for, he says, Lord, give me integrity. And then the second part of his request, when he said, give me two things, the first thing was integrity. The second thing he asked for was enough. He asked for enough. He said, Lord, give me enough. Second part of 8 says, give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is needful for me. Look at what he says. He says, feed me with the food that is needful to me. Most people might read this or hear this and think Agur is settling, but he's not. And maybe life has beat you up to the point where you want to settle. Yeah, that sounds good. Just give me enough. I just want to be able to pay my bills. I don't want all that stuff. I don't need all that. I just want to be able to pay my bills. That's not necessarily what Agur is praying. Agur is not praying from a lack of faith. As a matter of fact, my personal opinion is that this prayer that he's praying has a lot of faith behind it, and he's not praying from a lack of faith. He is praying from an honest understanding of himself. This prayer is coming from him knowing himself, him having not only an encounter with God, but then as he has an encounter with God, God turns around and shows him himself. He knows what too little does for him. It may not do that for everybody else, but he knows what too little does for him, and he knows what too much does to him. So he asks God to protect him from both. Please protect me from both. Not enough or too much. Listen, the Hebrew word, when he says needful for me, the Hebrew word there is spelled, watch this, it's spelled CHUQQI. And I believe it's pronounced koki, okay? It means portion. And more specifically, it means appointed portion, a fixed, divinely decreed portion. It means precisely sufficient and appropriate for the specific need. It means that it has been specifically allotted for you. This is your portion divinely. It gives you exactly what you need to do what God has placed you on this earth for. So this is not a poverty prayer. This is a kingdom assignment prayer. He understands now. Because he's had an encounter with God, he understands that he has a kingdom assignment. He don't want to mess that up. So he's saying, don't give me too much. And don't give me too little, because I don't want to mess this thing up. Lord, give me whatever you have decreed for my assignment. Give me what you know I need to carry out what you have me on this earth for. So he's not looking for the amount. He doesn't care what the amount is. He's looking for alignment. He wants his resources to be aligned with his assignment. He's looking for alignment. Here's a key principle for you. Asking for enough is not a small prayer. It's one of the most honest and wisest prayer a builder can pray. One of the most honest and wisest prayers a builder can pray. Why? Because when you're trying to build and you're trying to grow and you're trying to scale and you're trying to get to the next level, you're trying to change your life, you're looking for that second chance. When you're doing that, you want your resources to be aligned with that. You don't want too much. You don't want too little. You want God to give you what you need to do what you have to do. All right? Now, here's the reason behind the request. Look at his reasons. He had 2 requests, and now he has 2 reasons. He says, lest I be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of God. 2 requests, 2 reasons. And here's the 2 scenarios or the 2 dangers. Danger number 1, if he has too little, here's what happens. Extreme scarcity drains your character. When you have extreme scarcity, it begins to drain your character. It begins to make you act like somebody that you're not. All right? It makes you act like somebody that you might. It makes you take risks and chances that you normally wouldn't even consider. And so it makes you desperate. It makes you desperate to start doing things, like I said, that you just wouldn't consider. It's not an excuse. It's a reality. Agur was honest enough to name it. He was just honest enough to name it. Hey, don't let me have too little, because I don't want it to change my character. All right? I don't want it to make me desperate. And then he said, danger number 2 is too much. And nobody talks about this one because all of us think that too much is okay. All right. But too much, he says, I will deny you and say, who is the Lord? I built this myself. I did it myself. Well, provision comes. When provision comes, the temptation to credit your own strength, it's very real. We've all done that. We've all gotten to the point where we may have said it out of our mouths, thank you, Lord, but our hearts are saying something different. We may have told people, oh, thank God he did this for me, but our minds is thinking something different. And Agur said it, had it. He said it best. He was real. He prayed it before it arrived. He said, look, I see this coming. I see it coming. But before it comes here, let me pray this prayer. Lord, please don't deny me these 2 things before I die. Key principle. Both scarcity and abundance are character threats. Agur prayed from a place where need keeps the relationship with God alive every single day. Because you know you need him no matter what you have. Because you have just enough to carry out your assignment. And there's nothing wrong with liking and wanting nice things. Nothing wrong with that. That is perfectly okay. But you don't want too much that's going to take you away from God. And you don't want too little that's going to make you embarrass God. So Agur said, Lord, just give me my portion. I don't want a piece of what everybody else has. Give me what I'm supposed to have. Let me drive the car that you feel like I should be driving. Let me be in the house in the neighborhood where you want me to be. Let me have the job, the career, the business that you want me to have. Let me be at the church in the community that you want me to have, that you want me to do, or where you want me to be. Lord, I just want to be able to do the things that you want me to do, because if I'm doing what you want me to do, it keeps me in your will and it keeps me away from trouble. Okay? So when we look at this prayer, we see 3 movements or a framework. All right, framework number 1, or movement number 1, I'm sorry, is the urgency declaration. He declares urgency. He says, Lord, I'm asking you now, while I still have time, don't deny me. So he understands that there's urgency, meaning I need to do this now. Not that I'm frantic and scared and thinking something's going to happen to me. But I understand that I'm not putting this off no more. I'm not building somebody else's legacy anymore. I'm not building somebody else's dream anymore. I'm going to get to what God has for me and what he wants me to do. Movement number 2, you see that the integrity request. He said, Lord, give me some integrity. That's why we named this, Pray Right, Build Right. That's where the integrity comes from. He said, remove falsehood and lying from me in my business, in my home, in my community, in everything I do and everything I build. Help me this time to do it the right way. And of course, God is the God of second chances, but just make sure that you're at a point where you're ready to do it right this time. Movement number 3. The provision request. He said, give me neither poverty nor riches. Just give me enough. Give me my portion. Give me what I need to serve you. Give me what I need to complete what you would have me to do, O Lord. It says, so Agur, who started out completely disqualified by his own admission, came up with that himself. His problems drove him to look up. Not look away, drove him to look up. His problems drove him into an encounter with God. He looked up and he asked a very important question. Who did all of this and what's the name of his son? I like to say he went from disqualified to definitely to a visionary Not not because his circumstance changed, but because of who he was looking for and looking to. That's what changed. He looked up honestly and let what he saw lead him to the Almighty God. And so, again, as I say, when you pray right, you can build right. So he prayed from the place of give me integrity. This is a very powerful prayer. He's saying, give me integrity, give me enough, and don't let me build the wrong life. I want to build the life that you would have me to do. And listen, this prayer is for everybody. It's not for you. It's not just for Agur. It's prayer for everybody. If you pray right, you can build right. But it starts with having an encounter with God. It starts by having an encounter with God and being able to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior. We look back at the cross, but we see Agur looking towards the cross, and it was everything around him that made him believe that the one that could save my soul, he hasn't came yet, but he's coming. And I want to know who did all of this and what is the name of his son. And so exactly where are you right now? Where are you? Where are you with all of that? And no matter what you've lost, no matter what label people have placed on you, Agur probably has some labels placed on him. That's probably what drove him to say, I'm weary and I'm worn out. But he looked at himself honestly. And honestly, look at where it took him. It took him to having a relationship with God to the point where Agur can say, well, he gave us the ability to say, if you pray right, you can build right. Hey, I want to give you a challenge today. Here's your 24-hour challenge. I actually call this the Agur challenge. It's step 1. Write the Agur prayer in your own words. Okay, this is your 24-hour challenge. Write your the Agur prayer in your own words. What does integrity mean for your specific situation right now? All right, and then what does enough look like for you in this season? And that's something you probably got to pray about because you don't know what God is doing in your life. All right, you may not know what God is doing in your life. It may be so big that you may not even realize what enough is. All right, and then write it out. Write it out. Have honest conversations with yourself and with God. This is not a religious performance. This is just you getting alone with God and having an honest conversation with him. Step number 2 in your 24-hour challenge. First of all, the step number 1 was write the Agur prayer in your own words. Step number 2 for you is going to be name the integrity threat. What's the threat to your integrity? Identify one area where you have been tempted to compromise integrity for comfort or speed. All right? And then I don't want you to do it in general, like make it generalized. Be specific. Be specific, write it down, bring it out to light. And again, this is between you and the Lord. And then step number 3, pray it out loud quietly to yourself. Pray it out loud quietly to yourself. Pray the Agur prayer that you created in your own words. Pray it out loud before the day is over. Pray it out loud. Not a performance. You don't have to get up and jump around. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Just you and the Lord. Be specific. And most of all, be real. All right? And that's episode number 1 of the Agur series. Hey, listen, subscribe to us on YouTube, please. There's a new episode every week. We put up a new episode every week. Leave a comment in the chat. Tell me what hit you. I want to know. And I'm gonna respond back to you. And then find us on Facebook. Mind Your Business on Facebook. Follow on Instagram at I am Cliff Watson, and visit iamcliffwatson.com. See what we're doing with the whole Embassy Studios and the Mind Your Business podcast. See what it is that we're doing. Hey, listen, next week, episode number 2 is gonna come, and it's called Tired for a Change. Are you tired? You looking for a change? Well, we're gonna talk about tired for a change. Agur said this thing twice. He said, I am weary. Oh God, I am weary and I'm worn out. And we're gonna deal with that and talk about how it means with personal mastery. He didn't perform strength. He didn't have to. He didn't try to act like he was so strong, and he really wasn't. But we're gonna talk about that next week. All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. And we have a few more series coming. A few more episodes coming in this series. It's good. This series is going to be good. We're going to talk about Agur for a whole series. Thanks for hanging out with us again. God bless you. See you soon.